the Frames Per Second podcast.
Welcome to another episode of Frames Per Second podcast. Today, I am your host, Doc. I am here with Kenneth B. Inge.
Hola.
And we are reviewing How to Train Your Dragon. I've been saying that for 15 years straight. This film comes from the 2010 animated film. This is a remake of that, which is also an adaptation of the book by Cressida Caldwell. Caldwell. Maybe saying that wrong, but an author, a white author. Let's just put it that way. So I got a couple of things here we can go over, but before we do all that, Ken, what were your overall thoughts of the film?
I enjoyed it, man. I had a really good time watching this. I had posted about it on IG, but I took my youngest to watch it. He had wanted to see it, so yeah, we went and watched it together, and yeah, we had a blast. It was just the two of us hanging out, so it was father-son bonding moment. So yeah. Overall, I definitely enjoyed it.
Have you seen the animated version?
I have. 2010, right,
Mm-hmm.
is when it dropped. So at that time, my oldest was 2. So at some point, I know I watched it because some of the scenes I remember, even though I didn't remember the full story, but
Gotcha.
I remember, him touching the dragon and, scenes like that.
Okay. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna have to figure out where I'm at because I'm kind of like I'm not a stan of the animated version, but I'm a big fan of it. Like I really enjoyed it. Now I didn't see it when it originally came out. I probably seen it around 2016, 2014, right before the third one was about to come out.
Okay.
And I was encouraged by one of my friends, and she was like, "You ain't seen How to Train a Dragon? How to Train Your Dragon?" I was like, "Nah." And she was like, "That's one of the good animated films." And it came from DreamWorks. And so I wasn't really a big fan of DreamWorks. I was like, Shrek was cool. But everything else they had put out, I was like, I ain't really a fan of this animation style or like the way they tell stories. I was a bigger Pixar fan. So this movie here, I guess I'm gonna figure it out by the end of this review.
I mean, the first one is a classic. It's a classic for a lot of kids, some adults as well.
Yeah.
So it's hard to replicate that. But so, I get it. So yeah, I get it.
And I think I'm also over the remakes.
Really?
I think I've been there for a while, but I don't need them. Like
Live action remakes?
action remakes.
Okay.
Like I'm sick of, like, I was upset with Lilo and Stitch that just came out last month. Don't need that. They about to do a Moana, which Moana is not even that old of a film. And
why would they do Moana?
Yeah, and The Rock is he's gonna be in it. And it's like, we don't need these films to, I
haven't seen Moana, but from everything I've heard, that's a quote unquote classic too.
It is. It doesn't.
Yeah.
But it's not that old. It's not even like it's 15 years old. I don't think
Cash
Moana.
grabs.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of this is just to have a new generation of fans so they can keep making the money off the merchandise. But at least Disney has done a terrible job. I don't think this was a terrible film.
Yeah, gotcha.
I think I just have mixed feelings about
Okay.
it existing, and that's probably why I can't really get into it. So yeah, we'll this. I mean, How to Train Your Dragon doesn't need in-depth review, but we're gonna touch a couple of key points here. And so, we get the opening scene where Hiccup is talking about his background, talking about Burke, what it means, and dragons being around. What did you think of the opening scene? Like, how do we get the introduction to some of the cast members and the dragons? What did you think of that?
I thought it was good, especially I don't remember the first one all that well. Because I only typically watch movies once, and when you're talking about animated, I'm only watching them because of my kids. So a lot of stuff that we may cover over the last 16 years, I probably watched it because of them. So I felt it was a good setup, a good introduction to the world, to the beef that exists between the dragons and the citizens of Burke. So I thought they really did a really good job. And I think with kids, I think starting out with something action paced captures their attention really quick. So now they're like engulfed in what was going on, and they want to hear more of the story. Especially, after that it kind of slows down a little bit, but you hook them right out the gate. So, and the reason why I brought up the original is because I can't put one over the top in terms of like compare what the original looked to the other one. So I just know the story, so I can't visualize like, oh, this is different than how they did it in the animated series. But I'm sure people watching will be able to expound on that. But I didn't go back and rewatch it to do a comparison, which may have helped.
Yeah, I have a couple of notes about the comparisons, and I mean it's fairly similar to the opening of the last one, and I mean a big crux of that is the original director of the trilogy of the animated films had complete creative control of this one. Dean DeBlois. He had complete creative control, and you can tell he really understood the world that he created based off the books in the animated films and how he translated it to live action. Like it's if I'm honest, it's a fair 1-to-1 comparison. Better than how people have tried to adapt other animations to live action. It's easier for him because he created the world too, but I also feel like it's a lot of based in human interactions too, and the dragons are like the extra element. So that makes a difference. But as far as me, I wasn't completely into the world just yet. So this kind of was stale. I wasn't sold on the lead actor, Hiccup, who was also he was in Black Phone, the Black Phone.
Yeah, I don't remember him in Black Phone, but I did look up like some of the actors that were in it because I was like, I know Hiccup's dad, I know that voice.
Yeah,
and then I was like, who are all these people? So I looked that up and then saw he was in Black Phone, but I don't remember.
And you know who Hiccup dad was, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm about to say like, yeah, come on. Yeah. So, and I appreciate the actor because he's a big fan of the series. So he
Gerard Butler.
No, Gerard. Well,
you're talking about Hiccups.
Hiccup.
Okay.
His name is Mason Thames.
It's probably Thames.
Thames.
Yeah.
No, THA.
I think they pronounce it Thames.
Thames.
I think so.
Oh.
But
yeah,
well, they got one of us right.
Yeah, man. He got more money than me. He'd be all right with me pronouncing his name. He did. I think his translation of what I've seen Hiccup as was kind of hard, especially in the first film, was kind of hard for me to really adjust to. And I guess I can get to that point now. I think a big thing for me is in animation, the facial expressions, the over exaggeration, and those things can really be highlighted in animation. There's only so much as an actor you can do with that translation, and so as a kid, you're seeing more animated feelings of everything.
Yeah,
and I'm not getting that watching this, so it kind of takes me out of the film a lot because it's like that's not exactly how I remembered it. That's fair because it felt like they were acting like animated characters, especially early on before we really got into most of the story. But that early in the beginning, because early in the beginning I was paying attention, but I wasn't, because I'm like, okay, it's 2 hours long. Yeah.
So I'm like, we got a long way to go. So, and I wasn't fully engrossed in the story, but in terms of kind of setting it up for what was to come, I felt like they did a good job there. But yeah, I saw a lot of, I'm gonna just act like this anime kid here. I'm gonna be goofy here. I'm gonna be silly here. And there was a lot of that very childish like things. And early on, I was like, okay, this is not for me. So it's cool, but I'm gonna see how it unfolds. But yeah, that's spot on. Yeah.
And then we get introduced to a couple of the characters, Astrid and the Fire Brigade. Also, his dad, who we mentioned, Gerard Butler, he's just reprising his role. He was the voice on the original. So they just basically like, hey, let's just get him to do his job. You know what I'm saying? And we hear the stories and we learn about the various dragons, about the Night Fury being the one that's the elusive one, the one that's really seen, and Hiccup wants to prove himself to his dad. Um, do you feel like that relationship between the two of them, his father was being too harsh, or just harsh enough because of how his son was?
You know your kids, bro. I say that on, often, but you do know your kids. Like, you know what they can and cannot do. You know their strengths and weaknesses. So he knew what type of child his son was. So I think he was being fair. You also have to listen to your kids and allow them to fail sometimes at the thing that they want to do, and show that you do believe in them, and they may prove you wrong. But I felt like he was right because he knew that son just didn't have it in him. But as a child, you always want to impress and prove your dad wrong and all the other stuff. But he was spot on. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I I understood exactly why he was as harsh as he was, especially with being the leader, and you could hear in the asterisk talking about him getting the benefits of being the chief's dad.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, the chief's son. Like, all those things added to why in front of the village I have to be this way. Like, I have to show dominance like this. So yeah, after the dragon raid, the village decides to go out and find the nest. They're still looking for the nest based on the elder's discretion. But before leaving, Stoic talks to Gobber about watching him. Did this scene connect with you?
Stoic is. I'm
Is the
trying to
dad?
remember the name. The dad.
Mm-hmm.
It was who was Goober? Goober's his partner. His
Gobber is he's basically he's the one with a cut off arm and a cut off leg.
okay,
He
okay,
plays the
okay,
one training
okay,
him.
okay. I
I'll just
think
say trainee from the trainer.
yeah. So I think what he was basically trying to get Stoic to give him a shot, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So
Well, in a way, but also just telling him like you said that he's your son, like knowing that he's just as hard headed. He may not show up because you have an idea what your son should be because of the stereotype, but he has all the characteristics of you too.
okay, and sometimes you need outside counsel.
Hmm.
You're in it every single day, and sometimes it's good to kind of have somebody come in and give you a perspective from um, the outside world to help you see certain blind spots you don't have. We do have blinders about our kids as parents. So for him to come in and just kind of give him that advice, I thought was good, and it worked as we saw later on. He listened to him, but he needed to hear that. So yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, I agree. Um, and you could tell he still loved them. I think this balances the first interaction they had,
Hmm.
because you could tell that he loved them. He was just frustrated that he wasn't showing up as what generations may have shown up as before. And I can understand that frustration when tradition lies on your shoulders. It's like, I need you to carry the torch, whether
Hmm.
you agree with it or not. Like, that's kind of what it is. Um, so we eventually go on and we get our first interaction between Hiccup and the Night Fury. Um, what did you think of this? When he first found the Night Fury, like in the woods, like basically pinned down and needed help, and they're supposed to kill dragons, but he does the opposite.
I mean, his dad was right.
Mhm.
I mean, you knew he wasn't going to kill him, of course, because how the movie's going to go. But he got there and he just didn't have it in him.
Mhm.
And I get it when you look at the eyes and I don't know if I could have did it. It's
Mhm.
such a helpless
Do
animal.
you think it's because it's that dragon? If it was like the nightmare dragon, the one that turns its body on fire, or the two-headed one, you would have been able to do it.
That dragon looks a little softer and less menacing and threatening than the others. So I probably could have killed that one because that one is more of a perceived threat.
Mm.
This one looks like a baby dragon, so how it looked definitely had an impact, I believe, on him. I still don't know if he would have done it if it was one of the other ones,
Mm-hmm.
but this one I know when as soon as he saw it, he was like, oh man, I can't do this. Now as soon as the dragon jumped in his face, he probably had to change heart. But
Mm-hmm.
but nah, and that was dope because that dragon at that point he looked all the bit and parts of a real ass fucking dragon.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, man, this little sad ass dragon. I
Mm-hmm.
when I did it, but again, if it was one of the motherfuckers like the nightmare one turning something, he getting slaughtered. Like, fuck it, it's either you or me, and it ain't gonna be me.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I understand that completely, and that's why I think this is a testament to the creation in the first one too, understanding that the Night Fairy, even though it's supposed to be menacing and like supposed to be elusive, it still has to have some type of appeal to it to have people buy into why he
Mm-hmm.
would care for this dragon.
Yep.
Because I think the normal person, just like you and me, is like a dragon. If I see a dragon, hell, we kill lizards.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
I don't let lizards live. Well, I do, but if it's gonna be endangering me, it's out of here.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So after this scene, Hiccup finally gets the okay to train to slay dragons, and we get more time with the sky characters. Did any of them stick out to you once we started learning a little bit more about the teenage kids?
I really wished at this point I remembered the OG film.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were definitely acting like animated characters. So
Mm-hmm.
not really. Like the twins were not. It all was kind of goofy and kid like. So it was hard for me to kind of relate to any of them or any of them stand out. Outside of the one that was supposed to be really good, but we got introduced to her in the beginning, so we knew she was a badass. And that she had her own thing going, and then the guy that was attracted to her, to a certain degree, he did because he was just out of touch with reality. He was like, okay, when he's like, Astra, you're our best fighter later on in the movie. He was like, oh yeah, what do you want me to do? It's like, bro, like, what are you doing? So his naiveness, but outside of that, no. I know they were just there for comical relief and just to kind of get us and him through the trainings. That was it.
Yeah, it was trying to be a 1-to-1 comparison, and this is what I'm saying. Like, things like this didn't work for me. Like, the characters are very animated, and they're the comic relief in the animated film, and in here, I just wasn't buying it. It was like it was too over the top. And I think for me, sometimes with this, it clashed with the tone. Like
Mm-hmm.
as a person who's seen a lot of films with Viking, watch Vinland Saga, watch the Northmen or any other thing, like it's a very more serious tone, and like they're very much menacing, like, and so it's hard to do that and give the aesthetic of that and try to be comedic and also serious
Yeah.
and like come back and forth. Like I for me, it kept bringing me out of the film.
And they all look old as fuck.
Yes.
That was the other issue.
Yeah.
Especially the twins. It was like, and they played on that by saying we were held back. Now I did think that was a clever line written. It was like, oh, that shows how important we are by holding us back. But I didn't laugh at it. I was like, oh, that's a nice twist on what that means. But
Did you laugh at all throughout the film?
I don't think I laughed. No,
Chuckle?
nah.
Yeah, that was another issue I was having. Nothing was landing, and it was similar. And they are very similar lines from the original.
Mm-hmm.
And I chuckle at those more, or get a little bit of a laugh, and it's just like, oh, this isn't working. So it's like, all right. Like, there were a couple people laughing around me, but it wasn't like even a theater laugh. I was just like,
Yeah, it was well, we went at 2 p.m. on Saturday. It wasn't a lot of people in there besides this kid that talked the whole movie. But which I was telling my wife, it didn't bother me because I'm in their world watching their movie, so I can't get mad at kids talking. Of course, raising kids, you get used to it. So, but nah, I didn't laugh. I'm trying to recall if my youngest laughed or not. I think he may have laughed once or twice. a couple of things here or there. So he's 10 for context for people listening. But nah, I'm almost done with Vinland Saga, by the way. Yeah, yeah, I'm on the second season. That first season is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, second season is a different tone after. Yeah, but I think I'm gonna need
it's
to
up there.
rewatch
I
it.
mean, and people have their opinions about the differences between the season. I'll let you decipher that when it. Yeah.
I'm not done with it, but I'm yeah. But I feel like I'm gonna have to rewatch the second season. I know y'all not here for Vinland Saga in order to fully grasp the story they're telling with the second season compared to the first one. The first one is just incredible, but yeah, the second one is like, okay, this is not what I expected.
What you expected.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's an adjustment.
Yeah. From this training, Hiccup learns that no matter what, if you hesitate, a dragon will kill you. But he just had an experience where that didn't happen. So he goes back to the Night Fury, and he's trying to figure out why it didn't happen to him and learn a little bit more about him. What did you think about this interaction of him trying to learn more about the Night Fury? Did it pull any heartstrings, anything for you?
Not initially. I was curious to see how accepting Night Fury would be to him. But he also spared his life, and I don't know if he kind of processed what that meant when it happened. But nah, not initially. Not the first go round, because the first go round, Night Fury wasn't having it. It took time, but which kind of makes sense. Like, with animals, like they don't know if they can trust you, so
And what is the normal way you probably get an animal to trust you?
you give them some food.
And that's exactly what he did.
And he saw that. He was trying to get eat, and it was hungry and it needed food. He couldn't capture the fish, so yeah, it was smart to do that.
Yeah. I by the time when he gave him the food and the interaction they were having with him drawing and watching him and all that, this is when I kind of got invested, because the Night Fury looks like a puppy. Like, it is what it is. And I got a Yorkie, bro. I got a small dog. Anytime I go see somebody with a dog, I'm a dog person. Like, so
Yeah.
like that's when I finally got invested in the film. It was like, all right, this the shit here. This is it right here. And yeah, they basically did a 1-for-1, like a 1-by-1 like shot, a reenactment of this whole interaction, like him playing in the sand and then him picking up the tree branch and just making squiggles, trying to pretend he doing the same thing, and obviously the iconic hand thing where he touching, like, put his hands out. That's all. That was basically 1-for-1. I think the director knew how important that was to that film. He was like, let's not even mess with it. Let's just do do exactly what it was.
We say it all the time. Just go with what we
not
already
broke.
know works.
Don't fix it.
Yeah, all of that worked for me. I loved all of it. And now, like you, I'm getting into the film because this is what I wanted to see. I wanted to see all of this happen. So I thought all that was dope.
And I also like how Toothless looks like Toothless in the animation. Like, we see a lot of remakes where they decide to take liberties and not make them, like Little Mermaid we reviewed, and how they take away the characteristics of Sebastian the crab and make him a regular crab, and it's like, nah, like it doesn't have the same effect. So
yeah, I wonder, they did a good job with that damn dragon, because it did look like him. Yeah, I was like, how the hell y'all do that? It was
I think they did a good job with all the dragons for the most part. Like, most of them look great. And from here, we begin to see that this relationship is blossoming, and he wants to help Toothless fly again. So he comes up with the creation, and he's using what he's learning from Toothless in his lessons for dragon training. Do you feel like this was effective? As if you were the trainer?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, I think the trainer was a bit stupid.
Yeah.
Because you can clearly see that this is, first of all, this is not how I'm training you. That's the first thing. Like, none of the methods that I've taught you are being applied here. So no, from a logical perspective, like looking at it, I was like, no, that didn't work. So was it like that in the first one? Do you remember?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you just kind of let it go.
I think, and that's what I'm. So for me, I think the animation, because of the goofiness of it, I kind of let it slide the first time. Or
Mm.
even being younger, it's just like, all right, let it slide. But I think in the live action, I'm looking at it as like, all right, like how exactly are you as the trainer let him slide this way, knowing this is not what you're teaching him?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it didn't make any sense to me. And I might be being harsh just because I just don't like remakes. Like, so y'all take that with a grain of salt too. Um, and we have him becoming the talk of the town because he is excelling in his trainings. And Stoic returns to hear that his son is basically hot shit now. And so gets a sense of pride from it. And he sits down and talks to Stoic about, he talks to Hiccup about it. When they are having this conversation, what are some of the things you were picking up?
Well, he finally got what he wished. Him being Hiccup is that he got his dad's approval, and I think earlier on he told him he didn't even he went to him after he couldn't kill Toothless and told him he didn't even want to train. But again, he went along with it against his wishes, and now his dad is proud of him, and but he's withheld some very pertinent, critical information. But he had the one thing he's been wanting and seeking, and it felt good for him. So I get it. It also looked like he felt sort of bad about it, but at the same time, he didn't want to. Well, it was a show I was just watching where he didn't want. No, it was Forever.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want to tell him the truth because of the impact it would have on the dad.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to what Keisha did in Forever. It would ruin what her mom wanted, was that fantasy world.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he wanted, this fantasy world of his son being a dragon killer, fulfilling his wishes against the wishes of the child. So, but that's what I got from it.
Yeah, those things that you mentioned, but also just how strained the relationship is.
Mm-hmm.
That even in this moment of being proud, we can't even have a conversation. Like, granted, there is information he's holding back, so he can't really even talk to the thing you're proud of him about. But there's not even a bit of like, there's not a way of navigating it. It just seemed awkward, and he's
Yeah.
awkward himself. So
Yeah, no relationship. And who knows if the dad could have talked to the son, like, how'd you do it? What are your, he probably would have ultimately ended up telling the truth. But yeah.
and being a teenager, I mean, but at the same time, I feel like there's differences in how he wanted to be perceived and talking to him about different things. So yeah, that was a thing. Yeah, even that line about the breast, about giving him the hat and said it came from your mama breastplate. Yeah, that's in the original too. It was funnier then because the way that Hiccup reacted to it, like the face, the animation, the way he like made a face at it, like all that. All right, so him becoming the top of the class, Astrid becomes more suspicious, and she finds out about Toothless. And when she finds out about Toothless, he basically like, hey girl, you mostly don't know how this thing ride. So I'm just gonna show you. Ain't no need for me to do all this talking. Just come see. Man, that nigga got that dragon. That dragon like pulling up to high school in the newest whip, bro.
I'm telling you, bro.
Like, she, after she got off that thing, gave him a kiss. It's like, oh, like I always wanted you.
Yeah, he was the new nigga, the newer hottest nigga in town to her, because she wasn't buying the hype. But after that dragon, she was all in.
Man,
Yeah.
she understood after that. She like, oh, this is what I've been missing out
Mm-hmm.
on. What did you think of the aerial shots of the dragon and what we saw, and was it visually appealing to you?
This is when I was like, okay, I'm all in. Like, this whole sequence when they just flying through the air, through the clouds, and just her reaction, even putting her on the side of the mountain, and just even Toothless, showing us that he understands English or human language or actions to a certain degree. Because as soon as she apologized, he let up. He let up off the gas pedal, which was dope. Because maybe he just felt the sincerity of it. But yeah, all of this was dope, and they had really kind of nailed like how to fly and this partnership they had with the pedal. Um, and to the point where now Toothless was able to do stuff without him. Because he was like, Toothless, this is part of the plan. What are you doing? But Toothless wasn't having it. He was like over this shit. And but yeah, all of this was dope. And there was another part when they were doing the training when he flew up and when he went all the way in the sky, and then he fell off the dragon.
Yep.
And when he went down it, I was like, man, I don't know. Only Tom Cruise can do that, bro. When he caught that dragon. But all of that shit was like just really, really, really good. Because I'm like, how the hell they do that with like CGI and all the other shit? But they nailed it, man. But yeah, no, this was dope.
Yeah, this looked beautiful. Like I was mesmerized in like how they made it look, especially like it didn't even look like CGI. Like it looked flawless, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is when I'm like more into the film. And even when they were first training, like how it's a different way of how he directed it, because I can tell in the animated version it was more high speed and like very close up shots.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when he was first flying, compared to giving us more of like a outer lens and like giving us more wide shots of understanding, like so we could see the vastness and like how big the like all those. It kind of gives more elements to the fly. It's a different type of flying because I think it's a different type of experience compared to animation. So I do give him kudos for that, for even realizing like, hey, I can't do the exact one-to-one here. This has to look different.
It worked because I was in there like, whoa. I was like, oh, shit. And both of us we were like, ah, shit. That shit. He did a good job with that shit, bro.
Again, this the second time you'd have thought something was coming from the screen, man.
Like, damn. I'm like, this motherfucker flying, bro.
All right, well, we get this, and through this interaction, they also learn about where the dragon's nest is, and they learn that the motives behind the dragons attacking them has been wrong all along, and that there is another dragon that is terrorizing and basically having these little fuckers do whatever the hell he wants. Astrid agrees to keep the secret, but it don't last too long, because now Stork has to go into the trial of flame. What did you think of him in this circumstance in front of his dad?
Well, I mean, at this point, you know, the truth. Well, with this, when he had to really kill a dragon.
Yep, he had to kill a dragon in front of everybody.
So yeah. So, I wonder. I'm gonna ask you this: do you think that the one that said he was the winner suspected Hiccup didn't have it the whole time? Because we all watched him, like when it was Astrid and Hiccup in the final one, and she's watching it too. Everybody's watching this, and we're seeing this guy basically cheat and not doing anything. Yet she still nominated him as the winner.
So the elder.
I wondered if she knew all along, but I don't know. I never got a real clear answer, because even in this scene, she didn't object to anything.
I think
she knew Hiccup wasn't about shit.
Yeah, I think she knew, but I think this is supposed to be inferred, and maybe I'm stretching it, because she's an elder and her using the stuff in the beginning to make a decision on whether they should go out into the well, even about them going out, she didn't tell them to go out. The question he asked was kind of phrased like, are we going to be able to find the nest? Like, are our chances good to find the nest? And she answered yes. So I guess this is more of like the spirituality of he's supposed to be the chosen one.
Okay.
So she's, as an elder, is picking up on like different pieces of like, I don't know how he's doing it, but he's good.
It's a way we can it's an advanced tactic that we could use.
Yeah, and it kind of lifts Hiccup a little bit more in his character as far as like, yeah, you are supposed to be the one to do this.
Okay. But I mean, yeah, we all knew this wasn't gonna work. Well, I mean, he did it his way, and she still watched.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was so disappointed by everybody else, but their thirst for blood, because of all they've known, every growing up, that's all they know.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, no, we're supposed to kill dragons. That's it. Like, what are you doing? We're not friends with these guys. And here's this guy, and you're seeing it for yourself, but you don't want to believe your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've always been a threat. That could kind of mirror real world society.
Yep.
But I was disappointed in his dad. But I loved when Toothless came out, bro. Because I was like, he can't fly. How he's gonna get there? And he came through, and I was like, that's a big ass dragon. How you gonna beat that dragon? But I guess the Night Furies ain't shit to fuck with.
No.
Because he came through and he regulated, and that dragon got back in the cage. So, but all of this was dope. But yeah, I was like, damn, Dad, what are you doing? I felt so bad for Toothless.
Yeah, that's the part that got my heart is Toothless being grabbed. But Stoic himself, I was like you, disappointed in everything that he did. But it made sense. Like, it's something that we would see in normal life. Like, you expect your child to be a certain thing, and they don't end up being that because you put so much high expectations on them or what you see the world as, and if they don't see the world as that, it takes a while to process.
Mm-hmm.
From here, we also begin to see that he learns from Hiccup spilling the beans that he found the dragon's nest, and that Toothless is able to find the dragon's nest. He uses Toothless to find the dragon's nest.
Almost like a compass.
Yes.
Well, yeah, something like that.
And through doing that, Hiccup is trying to warn him, bro, you don't want to do that. I'm telling you, this is something bigger than you expect. But pride, being upset, anger leads him to find the dragon's nest. Before they meet their demise, Hiccup decides to teach his friends how to ride dragons. Did you think this was too fast of a learning curve, or you think it made perfect sense for them to be able to do it?
It was too fast, but we're at the end, so they have to move fairly quickly because we got to get to the final fight scene. But it took him days, weeks. It took him giving the fish. The bail I will shoot them is that Hiccup's first interaction with that other dragon, he did manage to kind of subdue him.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we can just take that and apply that to this situation. That's the only way it's going to make it work. That what Hiccup learned about basically the dragons becoming food for the alpha dragon if they don't find food is why they were doing this. So they don't want to do it at all. So, but I just had to just go with it because I'm like, bro, like, first of all, a bunch of them were fucking goofballs anyway. It's so asterisk. So the fact that they're gonna sit here and get on these dragons without no training and just go to war was like, nah. But I did like how each one got a dragon that fits who they were.
Yep.
Yeah, we laughed at that. No, I guess we did think that was funny. Yeah.
I don't think it was too fast just because I at first I did. And then I started to take the lens off as far as like if the Night Fury is supposed to be the top of the line and Hiccup did it in this amount of time. Bet. And they are technically on boats. So it's gonna take longer. It's a longer travel, so it gives them a whole lot more time to get to know the dragons, to get them to go.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I let it slide. I was like, all right, because I was like, I did that in the original too. I was like, that turnaround was too fast for them to learn. But if you look at it that way, then it makes.
And most of those dragons had already been domesticated and trained anyway. So there are ways we can make it make sense.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and just wrap up our last final thoughts. So we get to the final scene where Red Death, the huge dragon, which is just killing everything, Stoic finds it, and it goes on a rampage. Just tell me what your thoughts are like the final act, the last bit of the story.
Well, Stoic, look, guys, I don't think I saw many black people. Well, there were black people in here, but they never roll.
I mean, they consider Astrid a woman of color.
Okay, because she's from Last of Us. Anyway, you know what? I won't even apply race to it. I think it's just the arrogance of humans in general.
That's more so.
To think you can go somehow defeat this humongous ass mountainous sized dragon was, first of all, crazy to me with rocks. So that's number one. And even when the damn big ass fucking dragon came out, he still tried to fight it. I'm like, bro, you cannot beat this thing. You have to partner up with the other dragons, which came later, and they never did. But all of this was good, from them coming in and saving the day, and just the fight scene, and Hiccup saying, all right, let's see if he can fly, and you get to really see the scale and size of that dragon compared to Night Fury. It was actually a smaller dragon by comparison to some of the other ones. That thing was huge. And for its size, pretty agile. But I was like, how the hell are you going to defeat this thing? So blowing holes in the wings made sense, but it was still flying. But yeah, all of this was dope. Even seeing the other dragons, even seeing them be goofballs. All the way to when Astrid, when she jumped into the dragon's mouth and started banging out teeth and got stuck, and when she jumped off and they didn't catch her. Wait. I think I got it wrong. Hold on.
They caught her.
It was the twins, right? The twins were coming and held their arms out. Was that Astrid?
That was Astrid. That was Snotlut.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Snotlut. So that part, but nah, even when Astrid jumped off and Toothless and
he accidentally. She caught her?
Yeah, that shit was dope. That shit was dope. You knew he caught her, but even the delivery, how they set it up was dope. So all this was really, really good, all the way to the final scene where you see Toothless on the ground and just sad. And I was like, and I couldn't, I mean, this is a movie. I was like, there's no way he killed him. But they held the suspense well. Now I did question, I was like, well, shit, why the fuck did it? Was Toothless so torn about it? The motherfucker was still alive. But and I told myself maybe it was because of what happened with his leg, and that he was. But they're twinning now. They both kind of fucked up.
They taking That's My Twin to a whole nother level.
But what I will say to kind of wrap up, this whole final sequence is that when because we both people watch it when he went up there and they didn't see the tail and he fell off and they spiraling down in his tailspin. Me and my son went there like this. We were like, oh.
Oh, Kid was in the movie, bro. Kid was invested.
I'm telling you, man, I was in it, and he held his for a lot longer. So when we were leaving, we were doing talking about it as when we left, doing a debrief. He was like, "Man, Daddy, I was gonna bawl my eyes out if Hiccup was dead,
or Hiccup was dead."
He said, "Man, if Hiccup was like, oh, I
ain't gonna lie to you, Hiccup
can
die. Nothing can't happen to Toothless. I'm more attached to Toothless than I am to Hiccup. But,
yeah, I was attached to Toothless, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. This looked great. This looked amazing. The end of scene from the fight to the Red Death appearing, being in the sky and seeing the size disparity, all that. They really did a great job of making this look good on film. I can credit them that. Visually, it looked great. And I'm happy with that. And I guess even with the ending and them having the dragons on the island, that's very much the same. I think now that we're at the end of the review, where I stand, it's cool. It's cool. Will I go watch it again? Probably not. Because if I can't see it in a theater as visually as it looks, you know what I'm saying? I'm probably not going to watch it again. Or I may just catch those scenes. I don't have to watch it all the way through.
Yeah.
I'm just a harsh critic of remakes. I don't think we really need them. Just if you, and I don't know what to do. Because at the same time, I don't want you to just continue a story for story's sake. Like Toy Story is about to come out with Toy Story 5, and I think the end should have been at 3.
Yeah.
But I also understand wanting to continue the legacy so kids can fall in love with Toy Story. But I also don't ever want a live action Toy Story.
Yeah, no, I don't know if they could do that. Even if they follow the movie, that'll be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be hard. But they may surprise me.
So, overall, cool. I'm glad Ken enjoyed it. I sound like Mike. I really am though. I thought you were gonna come in here because if I wasn't even invested in it, I thought Ken, you was gonna come in here and be like, nah, why to watch this shit? But I also think the perspective of watching it with your kid and being a father and seeing that story too probably pull on your heartstrings a little bit. So I think I'm kind of happy Mike is in here because he would have took that.
I said halfway through, I was like, man, Spike and Mike
would have killed this shit.
I
text
not
Mike
need to watch this.
I said, because that was Mike's birthday. I was like, you're welcome. This is your birthday gift because you would have hated this shit.
They did. They may have surprised me, but when I was watching, I was like, nah, they didn't need to be subjected to this.
Yeah,
I think, I think watching something like this, an attachment to the original, want to watch, because I saw adults in there too. Mm-hmm. You want to watch it and see if they pull it off, and then of course going with your kids, sometimes, unwillingly, in my particular instance, willingly. Mm-hmm. But if we didn't review it though, if we wasn't going to review it, I probably would not have gone to see it and waited till it hit streaming, because he wants to see Elio.
Yeah, that comes out next week. That's a Pixar film.
Yeah, so we're going to watch that. We already got tickets, so we're going to watch that. Where the whole family's going next Saturday, I think.
Okay.
So I was like, oh shit, we going to see that. We ain't going to see How to Train Your Dragon. But I'm glad I went. And we got a chance to kind of hang out, and I got into it. The second half definitely was work. The second half worked, and yeah, it was fun. I definitely enjoyed it.
Well, that's going to do it for us, y'all. We appreciate y'all listening to another episode of Frames Per Second. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at FPS Podcast, and join our Reddit community, and become a patron at patreon.com/frames per second. Other than that, man, peace.
Peace.